I'm just sitting here.
Hello. It's been a couple weeks, but we are back. I'm your host, Morgan Hazelwood, and I've got the one, the only Patrick Hopkins with me.
You got my
And
name right, yay!
we're in Virginia, and we definitely still care about reproductive rights and what governors may or may not be trying to do this week.
Ban, you mean, not do. Ban.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, because our friend, well, my non-friend and yours, Glenn Youngkin, loves using government to limit people, which supposedly is what Republicans oppose. I've never understood this. See, limited government means government doesn't do stuff. So for government to limit somebody is the opposite of limited government. It's limiting government. This lovely contradiction has been brought to you by the past 50 years. Fun fact, an early supporter of abortion rights, well, once it was legalized everywhere, George H.W. Bush was a donor to abortion causes. You don't hear conservatives talk about this. I wonder why not.
Maybe it doesn't strike their image.
No, you know what else he did? He left the NRA.
Wow.
Yes.
Actually impressed by
story.
that.
True story. After the Oklahoma City bombing in '95, I think,
Ooh,
Wayne
okay.
LaPierre, I believe it was him still.
Okay.
That's how long. I think it was him. That's how long he's been around.
Wow.
I should be careful in saying this so we don't get sued by the nobody who's watching. But he said, let me actually hold on. I'm going to make this easy on myself by looking up. He resigned from the NRA because of what the leader said. Because I know I've seen this. Hold on. Here we go. Can we get a quote from him? Okay. Just days before the bombing, NRA sent a fundraising letter. Wayne LaPierre, NRA CEO, back in 1995, referred to federal agents as, quote, I am quoting Wayne LaPierre in this, referred to federal agents as armed terrorists dressed in ninja black, jackbooted thugs armed to the teeth who break down doors, open fire with automatic weapons, and kill law-abiding citizens. Now, is that inaccurate today? Not sure. Let's just put it that way. However, George H.W. Bush resigned from the NRA publicly. So, supported abortion rights, opposed Wayne LaPierre at all, right? H.W. writing in his letter said, your broadside against federal agents deeply offends my own sense of decency and honor, and it offends my concept of service to country. It indirectly slanders a wide array of government law enforcement officials who are out there day and night laying lives on the line for all of us. Now, again, the shootings we've seen, the shoot first, ask questions later policies we've seen, not sure he's wrong there. But the point is, George H.W. Bush supported abortion and opposed the NRA. If you did that as a Republican today,
you wouldn't have a career.
You would look like Liz Cheney got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. But, abortion rights still matter, even if people aren't as mad as they were 2 months ago.
Yes. And they matter also, the data on this I saw most recently, a couple months ago. The older you are and male and have money, the more you support abortion, which makes sense because if you have lots of money, you don't want to get waylaid by a kid. I promise they destroy things. I am proof they destroy things. So if you have some 16-year-old honor student who gets pregnant, abortion. Right away, you want that because you want her to get back to school and not to be pregnant, right? Because it will, alter her life in ways
you want options.
Yes.
So, thank you for joining us as we come back to rant about how important abortion rights are, but also to rewrite queries, synopses, and etc.
Is that her?
So
it is her. Okay, she's just there. She's not actually in the thing. She's just
okay. So, did we want to start with today's queries? Patrick doesn't like listening to other people read. His brain explodes. So, one moment. Let me get that tab a little bigger. Okay. So, Dear Agent, Wildflowers Sprout on the Battlefields is a new adult historic fiction novel completed 105,000 words and written as a coming of age spin on the folktale of Hua Mulan and the events behind the Battle of the Tuatoberg Forest. It introduces a strong willed character similar to Anna from the Book of Longings, placed in an immersive world similar to the one found in Madeline Miller's Circe. Raised under the roof of the most devoted Roman away from Rome, 9 years old Tita Valeria Corvina dreams to become an honored citizen. She would gladly spread her hatchling wings, set for the eternal city, and never look back at the tamed hills of the Dacian province and everything she calls home. If only grandfather would deem her worthy enough for such an adventure. Rome is no place for a girl cut from her cloth, he cautions. She was born a girl and has no worth, is what she hears. Betrayal adds to disappointment when, in a bout of childish curiosity, she overhears him mention a secret behind her parents' untimely death that might be tied to his reluctance to see her go. Tita has no time to dwell on her feelings when her world is turned to ashes by the events of the Marcomannic Wars. She would sooner have her mouth go dry before she stops begging her grandfather to take her to the fort he will command as legate. Legate? Nah. This is an adventure, the chance to prove her worth. She tells herself to veil the truth. She loves him too much to be torn apart from him. Her grandfather, convinced that the war will soon end, acquiesces to her plea if she takes the guise of a young boy recruit. But a lie spun too often leaves them entangled in deceit. Tita grows up on the front line. A chance encounter with two old friends threatens her disguise and makes her question her choices and her grandfather's. She must face a dark secret and a hard truth. Choosing between two men means choosing between following an old dream or forging a new path. In doing so, she might influence the fate of an ongoing war and the birth of a new nation. I live in blank and am an ESL writer and history enthusiast. Out of passion for the craft of writing, I strive to improve my skills by attending the creative writing course at Wesleyan University. Outside my day job as a software engineer, I am working on my 4th book. So, a few things right off the bat. There are a lot of vagueness and almost cliche phrasing that you would find more often in a blurb. Queries need specificity. Secondly, if I highlight this whole thing, the query is, I do believe, 429 words. So we need to start by cutting about 100, at least. New adult is a hard sell, especially for anyone outside of the romance industry. While they are trying to make it a thing, it is not a widely accepted genre at the moment. I might be more inclined to call it a coming of age work of historic fiction. Oh, sorry, Patrick, I muted you because you were talking to yourself.
That's a good reason. So there are publishers that handle new adult. There are very few of them. I don't know what their distribution models are. There are some agents that do as well. I don't know what they're doing with it, if they're aging it up or down, or if they're keeping it there and just sort of daring bookstores not carry it. But the big thing is, adult isn't coming of age. YA is. So you even want to advertise? No, not anymore.
No.
What?
Coming of age can be either. It depends on the focus of the story, and it's very nuanced, and half the people who write coming of age can't figure it out. So it's a tricky thing. But partially, it also depends how far you follow them after that coming of age. And some of it is based on the person's motivations and goals and the point of view. It needs to be First person would always be YA. Third person might be adult. These days, it's a little wishy-washy.
So other aspect here is this girl is 9, which starts out, and 9 as YA is a harder sell. I think you generally you want to be adult with that. I got stuck
with this word count.
I got stuck on like the eternal. Anytime I see a place noun, I'm like looking for the next use of it, because is this first chapter syndrome? Eternal City. Don't see it again. Dacian Province. Don't see it again. Grandfather. One use. So we have Roman and Rome. Rome is one more time. Legate. There's a whole bunch of nouns we get one use on, and that is complete death. As I have, I'll explain this again for anybody who didn't see it, hear any of the first 93 times. When you name something, you make it important. Think about naming a child or a car or a pet. Those things become important, right? Emotionally important. So if you name something early in a query, that tells the agent and the reader this thing matters, right? If you don't use that name again, you've dropped something big.
In queries, you want to stick to maybe 3 proper nouns, if at all possible.
Yeah.
Yes, you want this detail in the synopsis, but not in here. I don't think it matters the name of the war.
No.
And I have to say, I was thrown by the phrase hatchling wings.
Yeah, I was too.
I read a lot of fantasy, and so when I see hatchling wings, I'm like, oh, is she a Pegasus or a dragon or that sort of thing? And especially when you mention, Cersei and stuff like that with other stories that have that magical aspect, you're gonna have that sort of ideas in your reader's head.
This reads to me like a first page concept. This is so mixed. Which means fixing is a little harder. I don't understand what she's trying to do. Why does she?
We're trying to set up motivation here, because in Rome, citizenship was earned and not, birthright.
That's not clear from this.
That's for fans of historical fiction, especially of this era. That is common knowledge.
Okay, then I just.
It's okay. I understand you don't read these genres.
I don't read anything except picture books.
These tropes for you.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yes, citizenship was earned and also not a birthright, and also not given to people of far districts. Her father or grandfather might be able to, as his heir, might be able to give his citizenship to her upon his death or something like that. But it's also land ownership, etc., etc.
All right, cool. So the Eternal City is Rome. I forgot that. I guess I learned it a long time ago, but it's
okay.
It can't.
It's not your genre.
It's not. And history. I do history, but not this.
I
just don't care about this. It's just no. So this needs to become.
I think that most of this paragraph can go away. It expands upon the goal and the dream and the motivation, but mostly it boils down to she wants to become an honor citizen, and she's raised under her grandfather's roof. So maybe raised under the roof of.
Go ahead, do it. Do it. Type it. Don't tell it. Type it. Such decentering. God, gross. You're about to do it anyways. Hold on. My kids.
Okay. So we want to try and bring the focus back to the main character rather than focusing on the grandfather in this opening. So I'm just going to go with 9-year-old Taita Valeria Corvina dreams of becoming an honor citizen as she is raised by her as she is raised by her grandfather, the most devoted Roman away from Rome. So we still keep your phrasing, but we center it around Taita. Although, so I'm not sure on this phrasing here, as she was raised by, but she dreams of becoming an honored citizen. Welcome back,
baby. Yeah.
So I'm not thrilled with the raised by phrasing, but other than that, I think
that's passive. It's placeholder. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's placeholder.
Yeah.
So
what feelings does she have? What feelings? This is such. Okay. For you to interrupt something, there has to be something interrupted, and is being raised by a grandfather is like a fact. There's no feelings there, so we can't have dwelling on anything because this isn't dwelling.
I think it's more when her world is turned to ashes, Taita has no time to dwell on her feelings.
Right, but there's no feelings that we cannot lose something we didn't have.
True.
Okay. I just took away your favorite martini glass. You have none.
Because I don't drink martinis. You're right.
Because I made the fuck up. This.
Breathe.
So then, soldiers verb a thing and turn her world ash. What the? Okay. So, this is the world building here is uneven. Is the nice way of saying it. And this is again why people can't do queries solo, because you're so close to the book, you don't know what isn't clear. Because I guarantee this makes perfect sense to her, but to us, it's like, what?
I mean, I assume because of the wars, her grandfather is called up from reserves and is now going to command a fort.
That would be a good thing to put in the first sentence with him, right?
Yep.
An ex blah blah soldier thingy, whatever. That's doable. This tells this entirely. Okay. I see how this is. All right. This is where we're actually getting into something happening. Hold on. Do you understand this sentence?
Yeah. She's
River.
telling herself that the reason she wants to go, and telling her grandfather the reason she wants to go, is she wants to prove her worth, prove she is worthy of being a citizen, but really
So
she
she's
just doesn't
trying
want to
to
be
hide
left
love.
alone without
Okay,
her
I
grandfather.
wasn't sure that to veil the truth was a little much. Probably because I'm not in my game.
Because it's poetic phrasing and your brain doesn't work that way.
And it's also almost 10 o'clock, and it just. All right. You can have it. People making noise. This is. And I can't fix this part right now. I'm too dumb. Jesus. No. We don't need to have the reason this thing is bad here. Okay, for anybody, I've explained this 93 times too.
It's vague.
It's not even that. We don't need to be told what's gonna happen. You can just have it happen, right? But soon it's gonna. It's like the Netflix thing, but nothing is gonna be as it seems. Just give us the shit happening. That's the point of the query. It's just have it happen. Don't. There's a thing that's gonna happen. The thing happening is the thing.
Queries are their own special science.
Alright, let's just close that thing, and that's. Why don't we close that too? Why not? Let's just. Okay, and. Let's do this and this. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah.
This is where we get
This
really,
entire
really
paragraph could be about any of like
20 million.
An entire subgenre of books. Is the only distinction in this paragraph is that.
Yeah.
Everything else is nothing as it seems. Language.
Chance encounter, disguise, question choices, faced hard secret and dark secret and hard truth.
Let me look at this for one sentence. Okay.
It's got a lot of cliches.
This is half of Netflix's shows right now.
I mean, yeah. And we love tropes. And we want to know which trope, but we need to know why it's different than the other
specifics of the world.
Yeah.
Like that vagueness there, that would work on a blurb in a back cover thing. Like that would be okay.
Yeah, blurbs are fine,
right? But
that's not what a query's for.
That's not. No, you have to be. The thing that I don't like about what agents do is they say it's just look at the back cover and then copy it, and you can't do that because that's not how they work. Like the beginning, absolutely, yeah. Well, you're building the world, but the end of the thing, no. There are hardcore differences. And the easiest way to show this, look at a self-published book, a good one, like a top 100 or whatever on Amazon, okay, or wherever else, these things are found. I don't look at them, I don't know. They end in questions. They end in vague questions. They end in keyword heavy questions, which I know because I've written a lot of them. And these are conceptually different from a query. Okay, because the job is different. In a self-published book, in a back cover, anything, you are appealing to a reader. Out of hundreds of books, only one reader, to get that one reader to choose this vague thing that you've set up in the previous paragraph. A query is the exact opposite. You are giving a marketing person information specific to that world that gets them to want to read more about that world. They're different documents. And I know this because I when I taught a class on this stuff, I showed the hardcore differences. I had queries, 3 books queries, and I contrasted them with the back cover copy. And those fuckers were related. One of them, there were 3 words in common. Three words in common. Okay, so if we could please get away from this, let's look at the back cover. First paragraph, great. Last of it, dumpster fire. Now, here's another thing here. 2 old friends. We can't care about stuff like this unless we already knew about it. We don't know if she leaves anybody behind except for her grandfather because you don't tell us that, right? So you can either build them up, which I actually don't recommend because you have enough stuff going on anyway, right? Because girl goes to the front line in disguise is already with her grandfather for a war. It's enough plot. You don't need, people doing other stuff and taking attention away from her. Just disguise threatened. We don't need to know the mechanic. This right here, a chance. That's process language functionally. Read it. We can just toss this. Not right. Thing. Right. That's that one. We need ish. Oh, it's so vague. This is still vague. I don't know enough about this to say for sure. I kind of doubt Wesleyan has only one creative writing course, but we'd have to look it up to be sure.
It could have been a course of study.
Maybe I have to look it up, and I don't care enough because honestly, the bio is not the thing here. Like the bio, it's
Yeah.
It's this part here is it doesn't matter much. I mean, it's not going to get you or not get you an agent. This is okay. I don't have the reading of attention right now to wade through the synopsis for stuff like this. Can you find what's happening exactly in there so we can get something resembling a stake sentence and the tension we need for that?
Sure.
Because this is
okay. I'm gonna need to read the synopsis before I can listen.
Yeah, that's and again, emphasize what she's doing because I don't need that looks like romance language to me. Choosing between 2 men, that's a love triangle.
Except I think it's between her grandfather and potentially a love interest, but I don't know enough yet. So you ready to cover your ears while I read the synopsis? So synopsis: wildflowers sprout on battlefields. Tida Valeria Corvina is a vivaciously curious 8-year-old. In the US, 8 years old is not how we typically state an age. So that's a little odd phrasing there. Enjoying a blissful childhood in the house of Gaius Valerius Corvinus, her grandfather and an esteemed Roman citizen situated in the newly conquered Roman province of Dacia, together with her friend and foe, son of the domain's overseer Duras Turbus, 10 years old, and a half Roman, half Dacian bright boy. Tida fills her days by roaming the fields and forests of Gaius Valerius Corvinus's domain. Spending time among the locals and learning their ways, Tida is fascinated by them and feels a connection she cannot explain. But her blissful childhood days are coming to an end because Duras is sent to Rome to attend school and become a worthy citizen of the empire. Tida is upset and jealous. She is the true Roman from a venerable Roman family, and yet she will not be the one to see Rome, the place her grandfather speaks about with such reverence. In an attempt to satisfy her curiosity, she sneaks into her grandfather's study room to read his journal entries and learn more about the city. By accident, she hears her grandfather talking to the only person who still visits him from the great city, young Lucius Fronto, 20, about the secret events behind her parents' untimely death. Still vague. Tida's trust in her grandfather is shaken. I'm not sure why you're being vague in the synopsis, though, especially after he tells her he would not send her to Rome in Durus's place. These are troubled times in the empire, with plague roaming free and war emerging, with Macromani Germanic tribes not far from their home. Besides, he carved a different path for her, where she must take the right steps to become a true Roman, grow up, and leave behind her wayward ways, entangled with the locals. Durus leaves for Rome with Lucius, who will help him further his education. Tida is left without her closest friend, burdened by the mystery surrounding her parents' passing. The only things that she is looking for are Durus's letter, although she will not admit it, in Lucius's annual visit. The following year, when Lucius is set to be their guest once more, Tida has resolved to ask him about her parents, but Lucius's visit is mysteriously delayed. When he arrives, he is gravely injured because he was attacked on the road. While he cooperates, Tida has a chance to grow closer to him and takes up the courage to ask him about her mother and father. Lucius advised her that the past cannot be changed and that she should focus on the future. He promises he would take her to Rome one day. Tida, harboring a special fondness for Lucius, puts all of her trust in him. One evening, grandfather prepares a surprise for Lucius to help him, quote-unquote, recuperate. Tida's curiosity is triggered, and she spies on Lucius while in the dead of night he receives a visitor in his room, a woman visitor, one of the villagers who knows Tida well. Her world comes crashing down when her young, inexperienced eyes witness Lucius's bedroom affairs with the woman. And Tida interprets what she sees as a violent act, and Lucius loses his trustworthy aura in her eyes. She begins to resent and fear him. Troubled by what she witnesses, she runs away only to stumble upon a band of local villagers allied with a cohort of Germanic rebels coming to exercise long-awaited revenge on the conqueror Gaius Valerius Corvinus. Tida witnesses them setting fire to her home. She rushes inside to find her father and rescue Durus's letters, but is caught in the flames. Lucius rescues her. With unrest reaching their province and his home in ruins, Gaius Valerius Corvinus, really, do we have to say his full name every time, is given an imperial order to command one of the forts nearby as legate. Tida is to be sent to Rome with Lucius, but she's terrified to be in Lucius's presence. She begs her grandfather to take her with him to the fort. Thinking the war would end soon, he agrees. For her safety, she must pretend to be his young grandson. The war prolongs itself, and Tida and her grandfather are forced to keep pretending or face dire consequences for a young girl to pass as recruit. Growing up between the Roman castra and war camps, Tida is at first enchanted by the idea of being the male heir of the legate, able to train and be granted the liberties of a young man. Passing for a boy is easy at first, but with the changes she faces growing up, pretending becomes increasingly difficult. Being on the front line is not easy, but Tida believes in her Roman heritage, in Roman justice, and in everything they strive to achieve by ending the Macromanic rebellion. Her grandfather becomes ill, and the new general coming to take his place is none other than legate Lucius Foranto, who she has not heard of in almost 10 years and who she was not looking forward to seeing either. But Lucius comes accompanied by her old childhood friend Durus, who she had lost contact with and who is now a respected legionnaire in the Roman army. Gaius' grandfather's camp is attacked and he dies in the clash. Lucius makes sure that Tida is sent to safety at his camp. Her disguise is revealed to seemingly no ill consequences under Lucius Fronto's protection. Lucius tries to convince a grieving Tida, now a wealthy heiress, that her place is in Rome, living in his house as the only relative of his beloved old friend Gaius. Tida insists the only way she knows how to live as a true Roman is in the Empire's legion, honoring her grandfather's legacy. Here, she also has Duras close, who she still considers family. However, Duras is cold to her when she tries to reconnect. He mocks her, challenges her beliefs, and tests her will to be a soldier at every chance he gets. In antithesis, Lucius does not want to force Tita to leave, yet he doesn't allow her to become an active member of his legion. Her stay in his camp is extended. Slowly, Tita is taken by Lucius' gentle manner with her. The two grow close, and she confesses what she witnessed him doing to that woman all those years ago. Still innocent in the matters of flesh. How? Like, she should have at least seen something in the soldier camps or heard stuff. Lucius takes it upon himself to enlighten her. The time spent with him leaves Titus smitten, and they end up having an affair. Duras disappears from the Legion and is speculated to have deserted to the enemy. The Germans allied with various tribes of Dacians looking to retake their ancestral homes. When Lucius is forced to execute Titus' only friend in the military, she rebels by joining his army bound to face the enemy. During the battle, Titus is taken prisoner and sent to the camp where the leader turns up to be none other than Duras. Duras reveals that his true alliance lies with those of his blood, the Dacians, that Rome has done nothing but destroy people's lives and plunder, and that she has been living, believing in lies. He has seen the true face of Rome and experienced firsthand its depravity and imperialistic views. He hands her her grandfather's journals, and Tita finally learns the truth behind her parents' death. Her father was the adopted son of Gaius Valerius, grandfather, and an esteemed Roman soldier who had fallen in love with a native Dacian girl and deserted his post. Tita's grandfather came to take him back with armed troops and attacked the village where Tita was born. Her mother was killed and her father took his life. Duras asked Tita if she truly feels Roman because this is what Romans did everywhere they went. They plundered and killed. At first a prisoner in Duras' camp of Dacian tribes, Titus slowly changes her beliefs. Duras lowers his wall and the two grow close. Reminiscing their time growing up and finding common ground for the future, they end up having feelings for each other. She is revealed to be also the granddaughter of a great Dacian leader, of course, and this spreads trust among the rebel tribes. There is a new confrontation between the Germanic and Dacian alliance and the Roman legions led by Lucius. Tita is entrusted to lead her own squad. In the heat of battle, she finds herself caught between two allegiances. She cannot raise her sword at those she grew up among. Due to her misgivings and confusion in their camp, Duras is rumored to have been injured and taken prisoner, and Tita is stricken by pain. She encounters an old legionary acquaintance and asks to see Lucius and plead for Duras's life. When he sees her, Lucius confesses how worried he was and that he loves her. Not long after, Duras storms Lucius's tent, thinking Tita has second doubts about their future together. Tita confesses she is expecting a child, and both men presume it is theirs, almost starting a bloodbath. Lucius is almost more determined than ever to send her packing to Rome, while they will eventually become husband and wife, while Duras keeps talking about their connection and how her future is with him, fighting for the blood that runs in their veins. But Tita has made up her mind. Her future lies not in Rome, nor on the battlefields, but where her grandfather made a home, melding the Roman ways with the Dacian traditions and where they had peace before vengeance. The time has come to forgive and forge a new path. Not long after, the Macromanic war ends. I think it's spelled inconsistently. I think sometimes it has two ends. In the epilogue, Tita has rebuilt her grandfather's farm and is working with the local settlers for a better life. Settlers are going to be people external, like Romans. If you mean like farmers and the locals, that's a different word. Lucius is in Rome, frequently writing to her and making sure to help her with the bureaucratic aspects of building a life for herself. Titus' son is almost 2 years old when Duras returns after finally setting himself free from all the entanglements he got himself into. Together, they set a dynasty that will continue across ages and eventually be known as the Corvin Hunyadi, rulers of Middle Age Transylvania. Okay, so it is a romance.
Yeah, it was there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it is
I
romance.
tried to signal to you when I counted at the word count.
That's a bit of a synopsis.
That's at least twice as long as it ought to be. This is what happens when you get way too close. We have levels of detail we don't need. We have language we don't need. We have process, so much process.
Oh yes.
God.
We can trim this a lot.
We
Is
could
what Patrick's trying to say.
this thing. I mean, I could turn this into an example.
If we could just call Gaius Valerius Corvinus grandfather once or twice, I'd be thrilled.
Throughout, yeah. Okay, so the page. I don't know fantasy at all, and I don't know historical fiction. I don't know much at all. So I don't know if this is common, but this is the focus of this thing is death to me. It's all about the armor. And it's not the manufacturing or the constitution of the armor, it's what the armor means. The problem with that is if I'm not already bought into the world, I don't care. There have been 9 trillion kinds of armor throughout history. Picking one is like picking one blade of grass. That'll make me care about the place first. We don't get a name of a person until the guy calls out Titus Valerius Corvinus. And to have all this scene focus and all these one-off places, like, why are we mentioning the Legion name? Why are we mentioning the Roman Castra? I don't need these things. I need who and what. And
I think that the author has done a lot of research, and a lot of times when you've done that research, you want to make sure it shows in the synopsis, but the synopsis is not the right place for it. Filtering it into the story is a good place, but I have seen people who the research is the focus of the story and not the characters and the plot.
Yeah, the story for the story, yeah.
And you want to make sure to have a healthy balance there.
Nothing actually happens. Like, nodding and walking is not anything happening. The first actual real action is end of the page.
I mean, she
you have to wait
to her grandfather's study.
Armor. I'm talking about the first page too.
I
first
got the synopsis. I haven't looked at the.
Oh, I wasn't even looking. Yeah, the synopsis is death. I looked at the page because the synopsis is. I mean, to me, there's this first. I don't. Part of the problem is I don't read this stuff, so I don't know if this is how this is done. Let's pull a historical fiction book. 22 adult historical fiction. Let's look at a random first page. Okay, Her Hidden Genius by Marie Benedict, which is not an endorsement, just that's the title of it. I don't know anything about Marie Benedict.
And I'll share.
What's up?
Link it to me and I'll share.
Yeah, give me a second to get the first page here.
Sure.
The books review. Now the problem here. This is not Roman, number one. Oh, bestseller, never mind. No, because the bestseller can do whatever she wants to. You want to pull stuff that is, as a bestseller, you can do more because the publisher knows you're going to sell books. Whereas someone newer can't, basically. I don't see any debuts here. This is really irritating. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this is anything. His debut's coming, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is... Okay. What was the other doing? Quinn. Right, let's just do that one. What was that? Okay. Right. Johnny Quinn is... Okay, it is a debut. Alright, let's do that, and preview, and okay, make sure it actually functions. LinkedIn 28, so it's going to be different some, but we're still going to get, like, books don't change that much. Scroll. Son of a... That's useless. Damn it.
Sorry. I don't read a lot.
The first 2 pages aren't in the preview, which is death, because the 3rd page is going to be different because you don't have to do the world building of the first page. So there's no real value in that. Let me see if my library has it. It doesn't matter how many fines I have to pay, I can still look at. And while I'm doing that, you see if you can find something here for the first page we can look at.
Sure.
Comparison, because this is...
Yep, I'm looking.
Just stop that.
Okay, let's have something published in the last 5 years.
Okay, that is not in my library. And I'm not trying to do... Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. Let's try that one.
What about this guy?
Books. No preview. Cool. Screw you too.
Names. Prologue. We have a prologue.
Oh, God.
Oh, and then it's first person.
The Manning Tree Wishes. Let's see if this one is... Preview. Okay, that's tolerable. Let's see this first page. Debut. Historical fiction. Prologue-ish. Okay. Oh, that's funny. All right, I'm gonna give this one to you. We'll look at it, compare the two.
Sure.
You're gonna laugh because this does something that... see,
makes you cry.
well, okay, is that an actual? Is that self-published or is that trad?
It's a good question.
Because I'm betting.
It's got a paperback, not just
And?
virtual. 300
That's
pages.
not where you see it. Go down. Look for the publisher. Scroll. That's still not. Okay. Bat City Press.
Bat City Press. So small pub.
Yeah, it looks... Yeah, it's just young, I think. Something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, you want to do that one, we can, or we can do the one I found. Either. I'm
Well,
curious.
we can do the one you found.
All right. You're going to laugh.
We're in first person again.
And what else are we?
We start
Waking
with
up. I consider her face. But...
oh, wow. There is so much info dumping.
Yep. If you're going to do this, you have to make the language lively, and there has to be emotion to it, because what we don't have in the first page here is any emotion. Skin tight, heavy, cold, unyielding. No relief in dreams, heavy, cold, unyielding again. Chiseled stones stuck on top of each other.
Hey, the one I found also had someone waking up. So
yeah,
there's a reason it's a trope. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it just feels overdone. But I looked up what the word conturbernalis.
It's a slave. I looked it up. It's a slave.
Yeah. Or a slave's mate who is a free person, or a comrade in arms, or a staff trainee. It's a very, very broadly used term that tells us nothing. And is probably going to be really unfamiliar for your readers. Unless this is specifically
this is what they read. And I don't read it. I don't know. I mean, that's why I didn't.
And I read enough that I recognized the Eternal City. I knew about the citizenship. This word was not part of my repertoire.
Okay.
And I get no sense of gender. I mean, I guess I can assume male because of armor, but...
Yeah. The hard thing here, there is a vague sense of longing, but more than anything is this an emotional heaviness that comes across as sort of apathy, and it's learned because your life is terrible. This kind of character is incredibly hard to do because you have to hold their attention while having no emotion. It takes a lot of skill to convey, to have, it's like painting glass. You don't paint the glass, you paint what's in the glass or what's around it, right? That's hard. And this kind of writing is hard. And it's really hard to do well. I don't think it does it here. Fixing it.
Wait, do we start with her as 8 years old, or do we start with her and then get flashbacks? Because this is clearly after they've left town.
Yeah, this is her in armor, I think. So she's old enough, she's big enough that there's no concern about size. I hadn't even gotten to the... This is just... We don't need all these names.
Dropping the backstory a little early.
Irenaeus, and then Duras, the Dunghead, and okay, let's look at the one-off names so far. Okay, Roman Castra, Legio V Macedonica, Via Sagillaris we get twice, I think. Her birth name. This is so much.
A lot
we need to focus on the character and what they want. And I don't get what we want yet, and I get more outside of character than inside of character. And what I get inside of character is apathy. So the focus here is not there to me. Judean patriot. I don't. This is so much. Who cares? Okay, here's a. When you have an apathetic character, and then you have something. Here's a thing she values, and the thing is not there. Giving it to me, yanking it away with a character who's so divorced from feeling is so hard to get right. And we have all this reminiscing of backstory here, and then we have him asking, "What are you carrying?" We didn't know she was carrying anything. Why am I learning about the bond that she has with somebody instead of a package? Like, it's, I don't understand why I need to know some of this stuff. Lovingly gazing down at it, I guess. I don't know. What another thing when you have this? Okay, so we have this. She's carrying her grandfather's sword. She's just talked about how he's one of two people she cares about, right? So why is her grandfather's sword not a big thing in her mind? There are two options for this, basically. Number one, bad world building. Number two, is an unreliable narrator, and it's so hard to do well. Like, for a newer writer, it's this. You've got a whole bunch of hurdles here, and getting over all of them cleanly is so hard. Cat? Huh? That's so. Let me look it up. Another Indonesian? No, that's not it. I don't. I looked. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Okay, graciously, it's not the. It's, we haven't seen the armor in like 2 pages. Why have we focused so much on the first page and then we don't see it again? We don't see it when anything's grabbed from her. We don't see it when she jumps.
The weight of it pinching or anything.
There's no sense of the armor anymore, and that's what happens with inconsistent world building. Rose at her toes, stretching her arm, we don't see it there. Making her stumble, we don't see it there. Yeah, I don't know what else to say except that there's. Let's look at this first page of the Manatee Witches and compare them.
Well, further on, I skimmed ahead. Someone is wearing the armor who shouldn't be and gets punished.
Okay.
So it does become a plot
right, but
point in the next 5 pages.
The focus of the world building armor isn't that though. So that's you know.
But it does go on from the armor made the soldier. Although there is a lot of randomly misspelled words, so I would definitely do a little more.
That's with that it doesn't matter because the world building's not there. If you're spelling the words, there's no point shining this. It needs to be reconceptualized, in my view, because the focus isn't there. We need character, we need setting. We don't need something that's being worn and then we ignore it for 3 pages after that. If you want me to care about the armor, that's tolerable, maybe, but then to just disregard it after you got me to care, try to get me to care about it, it's just not consistent world building. Let's look at the first page here, first 2 pages maybe of the Manatee Witches, and show the focus difference.
Sure.
Although I don't really like this anyway.
You want to try mine?
What? Sure, why not? Let's try that one. Is that the first page?
There was a prologue. I skipped.
No.
It was only a page.
I said no, Morgan. This is about consent. This whole thing, this whole live stream is about consent. I do not consent to a prologue.
Ever. That's why I skipped past it initially. I was just demonstrating that it was half a page.
Right then.
It's okay. It'll be okay.
Okay. Waking up. God, this is just such. But even so, we're getting character, not armor. Land.
We get the second name on the second page.
We have a conversation here, and it isn't interrupted by half a page of backstory about somebody is not in the scene, right? So we have easy to follow conversation. Yay!
The backstory can be filtered in across chapters. It doesn't have to be on the first page. Yeah. It's hard because you want to put it in early. But
yes, you have lots of stuff you have in mind. I want to share all this stuff I did. Nope, don't need it.
Slower.
And you can build tension by having less of it. For example, this barbarian problem thing at the bottom page there. What's that? We don't know. We don't have a paragraph of backstory there. We have him drinking, which tells us that the problem isn't that as big as his need to drink, right? So what's going on? We don't know. Why? We don't know, right? Let's go down some more. Okay, we have people hinting at a thing. Okay, again, more tension, more questions being asked, right? This is backstory, but it's being introduced in limited ways through dialogue, so we're showing character instead of just having stuff.
And with single names instead of the full name every time.
Yep. We have lost the bedroom. We have no sense that this person just woke up at all. So that's irritating.
Yeah.
Now, documents are used in stories to give backstory.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
This is we can talk about this like this because we understand that this is not, I have a document that I'm going to use to introduce these facts. It's a plot trope. Now, if you do it well, it's great, and if you do it poorly, it's
another technique for info dumping is having someone complain about something, because while people don't, normally say, as normal, we're doing this and this and this, but they will say, oh my God, it's ringing again. Oh, and that is normal to complain about your day, but not to talk through it.
Unless bats stop flying into the window. Well, as you know, Jim, 2 weeks ago. Yes, I know. I've been here for a month. Why do you keep treating me like I don't remember? Well, because this other thing you forgot, and that's just characterization and world building. It's a easy thing to do. Now, look at this paragraph here. What do we not see? The barbarians. How much of a problem are they really? Still not a problem. We know this because people keep doing things that aren't the barbarians. Yeah, I don't know what more we need to say about this. This is how you do this. The conversation doesn't stop much. We have the occasional action tag, but what we don't have is info dumping, except in that letter, and that letter is woven in as part of the narrative.
Yeah.
The scene.
We do have a little info here and there, but it's, filtered in through description of what's happening and what's going on. It's the
we don't have big focus
off.
on people who aren't there, and then we get away from them, and it's like, why did we even need to know that? Assembled, sniffed. A little tension here. The language is a little elevated, I'd say. Not a whole lot, but some. We have an abbreviated backstory on a kid, which tells us about the world. And then we have the kid going away because he's there to tell us about the world. Note that he's not named, right? It's not that I saw.
So far, we've had 3 names. Okay, there were like 3 in the letter, but
well, yeah,
they were spread. They
but
weren't.
again, by not naming this person, we are communicating a lack of importance. We don't need to build every single aspect of this world. If I see a name, I'm expecting it to be for a reason. If I don't see one, I'm expecting it to be for a reason. Okay. Now we see in this other short blast, it's the same language height. Erupted, thrust. These are strongish verbs. Now, it was General Quintus Ligarius Mellus. This person matters.
And he was referenced on the first page, Quintus.
Yeah. Now you see, we go half a page here, and we're still talking about Quintus, right? Focus. We have more on Quintus because he's named and important. The boy is scattered, gone. Keep going down. A little more, then we can change something else. Now, interesting thing here. Nodded. Nodded. Not a dramatic verb. How many? Good question. Turned his head, right? Not a big fancy verb. Toward the forest beyond the camp walls. Vague language. The forest, right? 40, maybe 50,000. This language is telling us is not a huge deal. And then we have a frown and we have a shrug. This language is communicating to us that these people aren't concerned. This is not terribly emotional, but how they're doing it is an action that shows meh. Now, here we get nodded, motioned, 2 verbs, all right? Swept, lumbered, squeak, clang, spurred, overtook, galloped. These are bigger verbs. These are communicating to us that this tension is high. We get more action here. Things are mattering more. Watched and surrounded, more guarded verbs. Galloped, hasty battlements, loomed, poised to wreak havoc. We're getting more tension. Halted, twisting, plotted. Okay, I don't know what more. I mean, this is the craft being used is pretty clear to me. I do not care about Marcus because I just don't care about historical fiction at all. And I'm so tired of Roman everything. It's just, I mean, I'm done. There's only one thing that Roman that I care about, and this is not it. And it's not good, and it's fine. But I'm done reading this for now, at least for a long time. Oh, look at that. Last thing I'll say. Good morning, gentlemen. Sleep well. Here we go. We saw him sleeping. We saw him waking up. We saw him being asked about it. Now he's talking about it again. Repeating the element that you had. Because if you begin with something and you don't continue with it, what's the point? All right. Something else now, please. Because I've done what I wanted to do with that. All right. Fixing that, I can't fix this right now because my brain is too dull. I know it, so I'm not going to try to. My biggest skill is that I don't mess things up much when I know that I don't have it. Okay, so you're on mute. You're on mute.
I kind of want to completely rewrite the query. I think this is the story of her choosing between the two men of her youth,
Okay.
and not her trying to become a Roman citizen, which is
Okay.
what I felt like it was initially.
Okay.
Although I do respect you sticking to the first third of the story.
Yeah.
But
you want to do it, then do it. I mean, I just like
give me a
you
second.
need
I
to
want
read
to do some
of that
scrolling.
and figure out where the first third is. I'm not the most confident person that we have. The pacing through the synopsis is.
That was a flashback. We started with a flashback. Chapter 1 is
Oh, that's such a
I
risk.
know. I
That is
know.
that's like beginning with a prologue, frankly.
Yeah. Or a
I
flash
mean,
forward. We started with a flash
well,
forward.
I mean, honestly, who cares?
Yeah.
It's
because I was going to
that is
say, if we're talking about her being 9 at the beginning of the story, that's clearly the wrong thing. But I had a suspicion.
a flash and an unemotional flash forward. Is this written? Okay. One thing people don't note in their queries is whether they're reading the book non-linearly. I don't know if that's the case here because I don't know the book, but it's something that you should tell the agent so they know, because it's part of the. It's like it's the same thing as if you're writing epistolary. You tell the agent because it's part of how you market the book. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way if you can do it. It's just information you include.
Yeah.
A novel in verse, same thing.
One way to do it is simply say 15 years ahead or something
later,
like that.
Yeah.
It's easier to do 15 years ago, but
yeah.
But just 15 years later, and then you get to chapter 1.
Or 1893, 1907.
Yeah.
And then you keep going like
that.
But
if you have that at the beginning, it's harder to know that you're going to jump back if you have the actual.
You don't know there's any jumping you do is the thing.
Yeah. So here's the actual first page. You want to look at the actual first page? It looks a little more world and character focused, with fewer names dumped all over the place. Although, going for some level of a rhythm and poetry in the language with the phrasing, with layers of dust, with cracks, with hidden alcoves, repeated over and over in that first sentence.
This is overridden. If it's hidden, how is the sun reaching it?
The sun doesn't reach it.
Yes, but that hidden.
It's hidden
so obviously
from the sun. It's hidden from the sun.
Yes, it's redundant.
With the alcoves the sun never reached.
Yeah. Or the effect of the sun not getting there versus the sun hitting other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the sun's hitting other stuff, they're bleached, right? Or they, fresh or something. I don't. I can't think of the word now. Okay, for that second paragraph beginning to work, she has to be there for the first time in months. Let's see if that's the case. Donning a smirk, no. That's okay. The stirring the faded curtains is over. We combine enveloping Titania in the faded curtains folds. How can she? We just had her be enveloped in curtains. She cannot both be in the curtains and in the wall.
If she's between the curtains and the wall.
enveloping the curtain. She's enveloped in the curtains.
Okay.
The curtains are all around her. She cannot be in the wall unless these are wall curtains.
They
They're
might be
not.
wall curtains.
They're not. I'm right, damn it.
Although wall curtains are usually tapestries. So.
Okay, again, nothing is happening here. This is being used. This is a way to introduce the setting, okay?
Yep.
The character is the thing. We have her doing. Okay. As an example, okay. Where are you on this? This is. Where's the first? Where's the thing you're there? Okay, that's it. Okay. Dangling modifier. Her fingers, we said her fingers glide. Okay, we don't need this much setting. We need her to do something. So far, she has dashed across a floor to hug a wall.
Is she hiding? We can have this much world building and setup, but we need to have some thoughts in her head about motivation, what she's trying to accomplish while she's doing that. Is she waiting for her grandfather? Is she, happy to be here for the summer? I don't know.
We don't. I don't need to be taken to a river half a mile away. I need to know what she's doing, what she wants. I don't need to know his name for it. I still have no motivation for her. She was fine. Okay, she's fine. Okay, why is she fine? Because you give me all this setting stuff in this house. And now we have backstory.
And that's where we end.
Yeah, I mean,
action. Yeah.
We need motivation for the character. What we don't need is to see. Did we get the alcoves again here or not? Because we're. I feel like we're one-offing a lot of setting stuff, and then we have no sense of why this person wants anything.
We left the alcoves and we entered the proper atrium.
On your first page, the reason that waking up is such a bad idea on your first page, where's the conflict? Where's the motivation? If your conflict and motivation is you're waking up in a prison cell the first time, that's clear from how the writing of it, if you do it well. But if it's a regular day, okay, I don't need to know about your bedspread.
The example we were just looking at, he woke up on a battlefield on the eve of battle.
Yeah.
And he's within walking distance of his family. So
but we also have him being asked how he slept twice.
Yeah.
We have other things that introduce. We have the barbarians, right?
Yeah.
I get no sense in this of the conflict, and that's what we need. And it's hard to do.
It doesn't have to be the central conflict of the book.
No, no, it does not.
It doesn't even need to be the inciting incident, but we need some hint of something is going to happen, be it a festival or a feast or a birthday.
Festival.
Or a fight or what have you.
In the book I'm writing, we start with Brianna eating beef with broccoli at breakfast, which shows her difference from her family, and we show her hating her mother, which is so on brand for me.
I mean, also as a teenager, pretty appropriate.
Yeah, anyway. Well, she's 18, so and her mother and she have deep issues. Yeah. We're showing not the central conflict there, but a recurring conflict in the story.
Yeah.
That shows up. It just because her mother gives her space to hate things because her mother wasn't allowed to have that as a kid, and Brenna just takes it and runs.
I mean, some people are motivated by hate.
I write those characters very well. Ask me.
And some people achieve their goals through spite. You told me I can't, so I'll prove you wrong and do it. And if spite, motivates you, if spite is what keeps you going in the morning,
a teenager,
cling
and you
to
know
it.
you can do stuff, and adults won't let you. That's a whole lot of spite.
Me, I'm not really spite focused, but I understand people who are.
You're really not. It's
peace, love, and happiness, and adverbs, prepositional phrases, gerunds.
Your thing is more like, you can have your wrongness. I'll be over here having fun with my rightness.
I mean, without a good list, you don't get a good Oxford comma. And what is a sentence that doesn't need an Oxford comma?
I will turn your face off, you horrible, horrible person. There's a thing I saw a long time ago. I was there for the beginning.
It didn't have an Oxford comma in it?
It did not, and you will stop your filthy mouth, and I'm gonna. There was a thing a long time ago. Let me get this. Let me do one thing.
Sure.
It's the "I burning your dog" guy. It was. Hold on. Let's see if that's the. That's not even.
I will be back in 1 minute. Okay, probably 3. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
Okay, have fun.
I've returned. Did you come up with any brilliant thoughts while I was gone?
Brilliant is one. Well, I mean, it's the first page, so brilliant is not classical.
That's okay.
Classical is not being mean. I mean,
so, do we want to do something else, or?
I mean, you're driving, so I found something you want to do. Let's do it.
Okay. I'm still recovering from COVID, still testing positive, so I'm not 100% myself.
Yeah, you think I am? Although not because of illness, so that's.
Yeah.
This is just regular old fatigue. I sent you a thing, but if you want to say else, then do it.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a good. This first page. There's a couple things that I think Bobby might want to see.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it then. Holding her breath.
Okay.
This feels like that start that the author was aiming for with the whole armor thing, but it's got a different feel for it, and it centers on the main character.
It's centered on her, exactly.
Yeah.
So the first sentence is stasis. I mean, it's just there's nothing remarkable.
Yeah.
Nothing remarkable about it. It's that the language isn't elevated. It's short. It's a clear statement of fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Seeing the others off is harder.
Yeah.
We don't even have a verb for the first rugby players bit. Splash is dismissive and playful.
Right.
We're supposed to see them as being non-essential. Retired is not. Retired to me is old seeming, so it's showing them as not as and weak, frankly. Slow, steady pensioners, endless laps. So the endless and the slow, to me, are paired there to bring on a sort of a will this never end type thing. What counts them? Sluices through the water. Sluices is our first really strong verb, and for a good reason. We are contrasting her agency against the splashing and the breaststroke, and to have the breaststroke there as a verb is sort of technical almost. Like I think to me the notion is that you're showing them doing sort of routine, average, monotonous activity without any sort of life to them. And then flipping tautly is just it's add-on for the sluicing. This next sentence to me, leave thinks need are the guiding words there. And it's meant to, but it's showing her lack of agency at first, and even when we get agency in thinking and needing, we don't have it there.
Yeah.
Then we get our first proper noun. I don't know what a dart is, but we zoom out here. Passes.
I'm assuming the dart is some public transit. I think it's like the metro or something. It just has that feel of like
it would make sense.
Commuter rail.
It's meant to communicate a certain speed.
Yeah.
Stretches, and then we had a sense that there was light in here because we could see people. And the nightclub dark is a voice description. I mean, that's the clearest thing. I mean, my 10-year-old picked that out. Breaches communicates a sense of urgency, and then adjust takes it away. So she feels violated by the fact that she had to get up. To me, makes eye contact instead of looks at her is a bit officious and pointedly. Yeah, this is officious. Makes eye contact, looks pointedly is officious. and then she ignores him essentially. Swims another 5 laps before getting out. No comma there to delay us. But instead of saying 5 laps, comma, and then gets out, before getting out with no comma, to communicate that we have her in entirety in this thing. In all this, we don't know why she's doing it. We get little bits of it more.
Yeah, I
read
get the feeling that she used to be on a swim team and she's trying to swim.
there was some sort of urgency with. I mean, for someone to wait that long to use a pool, right?
Yeah.
Either she's late, which we don't get a sense of, or she wants to be alone, maybe. But whatever it is, she's willing to. She's using her time to be sure that she's going to get something.
Yeah.
I don't get a sense of nerves. I get a sense of anger, maybe. No
disappointment
panic.
or hurt.
I don't get disappointment here. I get determination.
Okay.
Because again, she's waiting and waiting and waiting, and then she's
swimming is
laps.
Relaxing. Yeah. Swimming's like coming home.
Not telling anyone. See, in being in that pool where the rugby guys could see her, and the older people and the lifeguard, she is telling them by existing in that place what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And so when we get this, she started again that winter. That's what that is showing. Okay, I know this thing. Let me just tell you this. Her wet hair hardening in the autumn breeze. A long time ago, I was attending a school that's in the north.
Okay.
And in the winter, we'd get snow. We'd still have school, and my hair would freeze from the snow.
Yeah.
And it was just like it would, and then it would the snow would like melt in class. And it was funny. So I have an idea of that, and for her to, what we get here, crossing the street to the hill where hardening autumn breeze. I don't get a sense she cares. So this is something she accepts, which a veteran swimmer is used to those temperature changes. Glimpses, assigned roommate, perpetually, various. Various here is a key word. Okay. Various is flippant, and it shows that there's more than one. That there's, it's not just related stuff. It's a whole bunch of whatever. But that it doesn't matter what it is. It matters who she is. Thatched over is a strong verb.
Yeah.
You don't get that with hair. You get it with roofs, and that's very clear.
That she's not brushing her hair before showering, and she doesn't put her hair on the wall and then throw it away after the shower.
Either that, or she cut it and didn't bother, or whatever else. But but the thing is, to me, it's not really a question so much as a curiosity, because it's not its own sentence, not its own paragraph.
Yes.
And we get the cabinet, and then we get Beth isn't thinking about the hair. Beth is thinking about the makeup, right?
She's thinking
communicating to us that whatever reason there is for this hair being there, something else is the thing, right?
I get she's taking over the whole space as if it were hers. And, I've barely seen her in person, but her hair's all over everything, and her makeup and everything.
Yeah. And then Beth's roommates got all that stuff out. Beth's stuff is still packed.
Yeah.
Loose ring, right? Totally. Like this distant, unknown thing from forever ago.
Yeah.
Unemotional. She considers blah, blah, blah. right?
Right.
Again, lack of emotion.
Oh my God, that's a horrible way to arrange
So many
books
verbs.
or movies. Ah. Anyway, in the comment, we had a question about tense and point of view.
Uh-huh.
So the
Let
real
me get to the comments
Salties
in a second.
shared a paragraph. Luckily, the height wasn't high enough for no major injuries, and
Okay.
Zane ran off, stealing a horse, and started galloping away
Okay.
from what Zane witnessed. Zane witnessed. The storm slowed down and ran far away down a mountain. He was catching his breath because the altitude was so high. It looked like it was taking
That's
days
third.
to ride down the mountain.
That's third pest.
That's third
That's third
person.
pest.
Um,
Yeah, I is first, you is second. He,
Yeah.
she, it, they is third.
Yeah.
And then we, you, they again.
yeah.
Yeah. That's third pest. Wasn't high enough. If it isn't high enough, runs off, slows down, all that is so high that beat present. So that's third pest. It's common enough, especially in older children's literature. I've a ton of adventurous books for kids ages 9 to 16 written third pest. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I think Caddy Woodlawn is was that. When I was a kid, I read a bunch of that stuff because I wasn't having adventures. And so I escaped to, 1890s Montana or whatever, and had an adventure. Third pest. Pretty standard.
Yep. So,
Um,
okay. I just wanted to pop over
Yep.
to share that with the rest of the people watching. And Nikki said hi. So,
Hello. We have an interesting show of femininity here. Her features fiercely defined, brows, lips, and then we have the came to get, and then it's two things we would associate with women of that age, at least. There we go.
And then we do a jump.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's honestly enough. We've seen how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you can have a character not doing anything. You show the character still by how they see their world.
Mhm.
We had consider again with the layout of the room.
Yeah.
Showing her just not really. She doesn't feel fully in the place yet. She's considering stuff instead of interacting with it and showing it to us by not doing anything, which is a skill that writers have.
Okay.
There are other things I have on this 2022 debut list if you wanted to look at them.
Sure.
Let me
Well.
send you the. Did I already send you the link to the? Yes, I did. I'm just grabbing stuff from that page and seeing what I can find in Google Books.
Sure.
And so far, they're all using verb spell, which yay!
Makes you happy. Who doesn't love a strong verb? I enjoy a strong verb.
I think I spot a liar.
I
You
enjoy
enjoy a strong noun.
That doesn't, just because I like a strong noun doesn't mean I don't also enjoy a strong verb.
Morgan, let's be honest here, all right? You have a certain fondness for things, and verbs aren't it.
I like napping.
Do you need me to find sign here? That's not going to be it. Morgan, what you want to do is. Okay, so we copy the name and the person.
Preview unavailable for that one.
Is it? Yeah, okay, there you go.
Also, no preview available. Although maybe on Amazon.
Don't want to be Black Pain.
Oh, there is no preview.
That looks interesting. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Just see if this one has this could be fun. No preview? Oh, oh this. Oh, please be a preview.
Oh, these are pre-orders. These books aren't out yet.
This was in January, dear.
Oh, maybe Kindle's not out yet.
Please give me a first page. Please give me a frog. Okay, there we go. Here we are. Got one for you.
Sure.
There you go.
For those who are just tuning in, we're seeing how sample pages and first pages from current popularly selling, highly ranked
or
books
anticipated
are paced.
Yeah. How they're mechanically, how they build world while also building character, while also, not doing stupid stuff.
So I think we start off with a flashback.
Okay. Short waist dresses and join garden with Lisa. This is the longest first sentence you're going to read outside of Faulkner today.
My sister's birth middle name was Faulkner, and then she studied Faulkner and was very happy to get married and get rid of it.
Yep. So one thing this does, okay, a different concept in every semicolon thing, okay? Because if you give me a lot, give me variety, okay? It's like a fruit salad almost. So first we have the attire, where shirt waist, legions, seatbeltless, and then the entire without thought concept there, right? That's the clothing, obviously, that's the regulations. Then we have the social upheaval, and the accompanying media element of it. We have the political and military. Why are you scrolling so much, dear?
Sorry. I was curious about the next page.
Okay, I can go back to my version of it here. All right. And we have the hope. And then we have the stuff, all these things mothers are doing, all these things other people are doing, all these things that we don't know are happening. We focus on this one person, this one character, because that's all. In 99% of books, the character is the thing you care about. 30-year-old mother of Madeline Zott, lived before dawn every morning, felt certain of just one thing: her life was over.
We're not talking about what city she's in. We're not talking about her backstory. We're talking about the setting.
We have all this stuff, and this is a very hard thing to do here in two ways. And one sentence is just hilariously long. But if you can do it right, as a first sentence like this, you win. Because mentally you're thinking, I've just done that entire paragraph as one sentence. I gotta keep going, because here's the fun thing about people. Bad gambler syndrome. You have lost so much already that you were going to stay in because you want to recoup what you lost. The crucial thing here, all right, that next paragraph is slightly over one line. I will damn near guarantee you that if this book was queried with that fuel for learning part of that first paragraph, second paragraph, pressing enter was a key thing there. Because bad gambler, I just did that whole thing. I can do this. Oh, well, this one isn't as big, but if you pair them, they are just as big. Key thing. Using white space is a big thing. A lot of people don't know how to use it well. Another way you can use it is by having an action tag as a sentence, new line, new paragraph, spoken thing, right? And then the other person's thing is combined action tag and spoken thing to show they don't get as much space, they don't feel as important. Okay, let's see here. Her life was over. So all this stuff, that the other big thing this does is it introduces all this important stuff, a lot of which the readers of this book probably already know. Okay, this opening paragraph is written for people like my mother, okay, who was alive in 61 and whose mother actually felt that way in some situations.
There's a reason the housewives of the 50s and 60s were also the Valium boom, because that sort of existence is hard for a lot of people.
Well, you go from school to, hey, here's a baby. Kind of a difference, you know?
Yeah. And notice it says we're talking about the 30-year-old mother of Madeline Zott. We know that Madeline Zott is going to be the main character, not her mother, probably. I don't know.
And a key thing there is we're not naming her mother.
Yeah.
We don't know what her name is. We know that her life is over.
Yeah.
To not have an identity outside of your kid, which is part of the focus of this, right? And to already be gone, right?
Yeah.
The resignation there is a key thing.
And then
she's still doing this because she is existing. Her existence right now is entirely framed within other people, right?
Yeah.
Make her pack her daughter's lunch. Fuel for learning. She is invested in her kid. Tucking it in shows the care, pausing, reconsidering. This I'm actually interested in reading, although I don't think I'm going to like parts of it, and that's fine. But here this I have to focus on this. We have a lot of tension in the small slip, tucking, paused, midair, reconsidering. So she knows her kid is playing at recess, which is good. But back then, probably playing in a dress. Tapping and how many? Okay, my question is, how many times has she written many notes for her kid? And I can't tell, because I don't know if this is anger or desperation. And to have a scene in which it could be either is the job.
And curiosity gets you through the rest of the next paragraph, and you find out the answer.
And the key thing is you say, here's a question. Now, I'm not going to answer it for a while. And that's the trick. And if you can do it, what you want to do is you introduce questions, right? You answer them and then get new questions going. And you keep going, keep building like that is the job. And it's infuriating, but people love you for doing it. Which is such a mindfuck if you think about it. Like, I will pay you to withhold information from me for hours. Like, that's, but that's the field. It's the amazing thing. There we go. Okay. See, we see her here being allowed to be impractical. Ow, ow. That Melissa Madeline understood this paragraph is hard, but the ending, it's like this is everything from Madeline understood this to all the other kids is at about 8.5, 9. And then this word choice here, basically illiterate, more than anything, irrefutable. Look what happened to her. The outright, the look what happened to her thing, this is language being used by people way older than her. And I get the feeling that she has been in the room and not been considered when someone else used that exact language. And this is her showing that she can remember things that shouldn't be shielded from.
She reads above her level.
Yeah,
and
but
it
I mean,
demonstrates
I'm
it.
saying, look what happened to her. Something people would say.
Yeah. Oh, phrasing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like an older relative, like her grandmother would say that, or more likely her mother-in-law, when she thinks she's not around. And because her mother-in-law, 61, 30 years old, 1930, probably her mother-in-law was born turn of the century, or had relatives who were key in her life. She has survived 2 world wars and is probably out of fucks, honestly. Because she, baby boom, 30s, she has seen women be needed and then be discarded again, and she has seen them be needed again and discarded again, and she's jaded. Has Morgan found her next book to read?
No, I'm in the middle of a book right now.
And
I'm very plot focused and things were happening.
And
I was curious to see how she goes from her daughter's lunch getting stolen to a TV show. And why this makes her depressed. I guess she really enjoyed being
look at this sentence. This is her doing it again. This is her doing it again. Right? The same concept that begins the book is here again. She's recycling a tool. She's going, hey, remember the thing I did? Here's a lesser version of it. And the reason it's lesser is because it's communicating stuff that isn't initially essential. Okay? The weather being okay, you can't, if you're going to dwell, the longer you dwell on anything, the more important it has to be, or else you have to do fun things that are hard to do. Gentle kiss, gentle, careful. Oh, fun.
Seize the day.
We have adjective, noun, adjective, noun. Either one of those nouns could be a verb, and then murmuring. Not an adjective and a verb and a gerund instead of a verb. The setting up is the seize the day is supposed to be gentle but distinct. And then more nouns to mute the. Oh, this is wonderful. You can use nouns to mute action. We don't get we get she'd hear, right? She would hear that verb there. Noun of with a verb back down. But even the back down is muted because it's backing down is gentle. Noun, and then reverse to first, indicating we're going to get movement that we don't get. So this is all muted. We don't get the car start. We don't get it turn over. We don't get the tires crunch. This is all intentionally muted to communicate a lack of interest or essentiality of all of it. We get the verb go from up from it was there. Like stay at the view. I just want to explain this. Was, lay, waited, knew there'd be. The verbs are taking a deliberate back seat, and we have a whole bunch of nouns and a whole bunch of description. And then permanently depressed mother, all this stuff is sedated and incredibly muted. Well, it tells us lots of stuff, but it's the way it does it.
Yeah.
And Dawn and Apron, which is intentionally, she doesn't put it on, she dons it. It's more of a dressing up a little bit and walk out onto a set. And then again, we get this clunker. She's again repeating tool uses, right? Was this indisputable star. Up until that point, we have no idea we're about to get this indisputable star, and the adjective here is, to me, as big as the noun. And we had this as well with the look what happened to her. It says honestly, this setup is bigger to me. And then we get all those muted nouns, and here's this incredibly non-mute noun, indisputable star. Scroll down. Oh, okay then. And of course, the first thing we get is she takes us away from the star. This is...
I'm confused who is the star. I don't know if it's Elizabeth's story or Madeline's story. We keep switching.
See, that's the job, though. Is you getting this world, and you, as I said, questions, right? Is this literary?
Let's find
It is
out.
not as close, because people don't usually do the thing. When I see the focus,
historical fiction, humor.
That's genre, not classification.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That's interesting. That might be it.
Literary fiction.
Yep. The interplay with the nouns and verbs. We see that some, but creative. Yep.
It is about Elizabeth and not Madeline, but Madeline tells part of the story clearly.
Yeah, you'd hope so. The whole point of writing a fun 5-year-old to get that fun one.
Right.
Okay. So that's... And again, this is a list of nouns: malt shop, bench, introduction. All these things could all have been. She wasn't discovered at a malt shop. She hadn't been cited at a bench. She hadn't been introduced. All this stuff to get past all this interesting things that could have some agency, or some, at least her being present to the ultimate noun, her discovery. And the reason that it's not, so her discovery, we had above the indisputable star is a shocking noun. Her discovery is not, which is, I think, meant to further the blandness of it. Hmm. This is all the modifiers, and again, this is lists of modified nouns, just like the thing above with what was it? The start of a car engine, all that. This is equating the muted action above with the car starting to lunch, which is communicating to us, or at least it should be, that they are of equal value. Which means that she sees her stardom as indistinguishable from lunch. I think that is supposed to be a very clearly bad thing, because if it were good, she'd be doing something. For example, a red plaid thermos she'd filled with ice cold milk.
I mean,
and here we get verbs: wanted, included, offered, requires, was, make fun of, knew, bombarding.
Yeah.
We have been given noun after noun after noun after noun after noun with a whole bunch of stuff that exists.
Glorious nouns that help set the scene and set up the mood.
Now we're ready to verb you. And then we get this absolute, this is laying siege to us with verbs.
Hi, Jessica. We're currently evaluating current top listed works on their opening pages to see what works and how they use their verbs, their nouns, and everything in between.
And their verbs.
And
their
everything
verbs.
in between.
Their verbs. Their verbs.
I mean, you can't have a verb without an object. Even if it's an implied one, it doesn't have to be explicit, but it needs an object.
Here's look at this next page. It wasn't until, give me all that, please, or at least more of it. Look at that paragraph. Look at the verbs. Now she cares. Here's the science of her caring. Began to hang. Now, the nouns and verbs here, she is combining, she's adding to, she's established all these nouns that she's going to use, and she is combining them with the agency of concern, but it's scientific concern. Scientific inconceivable. Inner calculations, ate like a horse, leukemia, alarmist, incurable disease. These are specific thoughts. These are not just some woman randomly going, I wonder if my kid's okay. These are calculated things. Sought a sensible explanation. Stained a pomodoro sauce bread. She knew she'd found it. Sweeping in. A secretary. A Wednesday afternoon. Been calling you. Have managed the crazy return call.
Tisk.
Offering false pretenses. Confused. Is eating my daughter's lunch. Right. I think we've gotten. I don't know what more there is to say about this. I've shown what it is. I'm not trying to dismiss it. Just like I don't know what else there is to say. The nouns and the verbs are at war with each other in a glorious showing of things. I can't even I can't think of words for it. But this is, to do this, you have to have a plan. You have to have characterization incredibly clear, and you have to just plot out how you're going to use language for the entire thing. It takes a lot. It isn't for everybody. It doesn't need to be for everybody. Every book doesn't have to be literary. You can have stuff that's different. This is just a way that people do it when they can. It is very hard to do. I write verb-based stuff. Morgan, you're shocked, I know. But switching to noun-based without is so hard. And if I were trying to do this, it'd be excruciating because giving nouns all that space. I have a character I'm writing right now, and she's been beaten into submission, basically. Well, not because she has been. And I tried to have her be all noun based, it just didn't work. And so instead of having her be worried all the time, because you can express confidence with lots of verbs, and you can express worry with lots of verbs. I wrote this, blah, blah, blah. He might do this because, blah, blah, all this stuff. He's smiling, but I don't trust him anyway. That's, this way to do it. But I just can't with nouns. It's excruciating. And she can, and she did. You want to try one more?
One more and then bed, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's see here. All right. Let's see if I can get this one to work. You never know.
You never know.
Okay. Does it work? Oh, that's fun. Okay. This is by someone who, based purely on their name, has a non-white background. I don't know more than that. I'm not looking. There are aspects of this book I'm not going to get, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because when you're writing for a background that isn't your, when you're reading something that isn't your background, there's parts of it just aren't accessible to you, and that's fine. Because Grace Lee has, look at that publisher. Go to the publisher. Tiny Reparations books. That's really fun.
It's an imprint of Penguin Random House for anyone who's been following the news.
Is that carrying over? I thought it was. I thought, and what I saw was their basic defense of their move is we don't know what we're doing, which is kind of like, if you don't know what
Not
you're doing,
very reassuring.
why should you be doing anything? Go into conservatorship.
Money talks.
Okay. So starting with someone talking is incredibly uncommon. A lot of agents, they don't do it. So you've got to be really sure, especially as a debut. Cusp, robbed, catching. Okay, I don't know if I'm worn out or if I don't know how this is working. Okay, I think the first thing I see here, describe what you saw during the incident. They're trying to establish some either mistrust or thinking he's magical. Because if you have the second, I've heard of this place, okay?
Mhm.
Priceless art, you have security cameras on your security cameras, okay? So the notion that the security camera didn't catch something to me is a little not credible, which means either they think he did something or they think he's magical, one of the two, which is a common thing for people to think of non-white communities. There's a trope. I'm going to sanitize it. The magical black man. You've probably seen it. Let's see. Okay. Okay. The language use is not the point here, I don't think, because I don't really see any patterns. I think that's meant to get us to focus on the dialogue. Either that or I'm exhausted. Well, I'm exhausted, but that's not the. She knows what's facility is lying about it. Yeah, they don't trust him. That's why. Okay, so it was either magic or I think it's pretty good. That's the latter one. Okay. Okay, this is an important thing here. The detective leaned forward. Go to that end of that page.
Sorry.
Give me that second half of that page. To show this thing here. So we talked earlier about the importance of maintaining the conversation part of a conversation. And here we have the detective leaned forward, and then the quoted matter there. We have the next paragraph encapsulated with his movement, and then at the end of that line, his words. This is meant to make the non-spoken part of this seem less, both for the sake of being fast and for the sake of him trying to seem less than he is. At least to me. I think this next page, please, second full paragraph. I think this is procedure is meant to establish that this guy still doesn't see him as an American.
Yeah.
Now he feels hostile. Important thing here for in terms of crafting this, we have this is procedure, Mr. Chen. I just have a few more questions, if you will. 1, 2 paragraphs of backstory, and then a third discrete paragraph of him talking. The difference between that and the place we showed where the dialogue is connected and shorter. Look at that. Everything you'd ever wanted. New line. It was his senior year. That white space is intentional to create more of a gap between him and the detective. Something has happened, and it has separated Will from the detective. And we're using that white space again as the thing to do there. You can do a lot without using words. White space is a very good way to do that.
Yeah.
Vertical white space is much easier to use there. The trick is the more you use it, the less effective it is. It's like eating any one thing. The more you eat orange, the more like, oh yeah, I've had orange, I need something else. That's your body telling you, okay, we need a variety of resources. It's the same thing with anything else. The more you do one thing, the more you think, I need to do something else so I can break this up, so I can have some diversity of this thing. Because if suddenly I can't use this one tool, what do I have? Here. Okay, this is interesting. This is conversation and process up here in this part. The next part has more setting and description. More details about the art, because at top, the important thing is that there has been a theft and that we have these people talking, this guy being interrogated, but now we have details about the theft. And now we're going to find out, probably this is going to be more backstory and more understanding of the why of the theft, if I were going to guess. Okay. I'm about as my usefulness is gone basically with this. I can't really, You look like you're about to fall asleep.
I might be. I'm sorry.
No, the worst thing you can do is try to be right and mess it up, right? Like that query, I marked practically nothing because I just knew I'd have it.
Yeah.
We're going to bed, right? Separately.
Very separately.
Very
Separated
separately.
by-
I've never actually met you in person. It's bad that we live like 4 inches away from each other. And I have no issue changing that because what would we do? I'd be even more awkward in person.
You'd probably talk about verbs, and I'd tell you that they can't do anything without subjects.
We could do that here. I don't have to put on pants.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody, for joining us. And remember that reproductive rights are still very important. And everyone should have a choice about what happens to their bodies. And also, rewriting other people's queries is way easier than rewriting one's own. And we love playing with them. So thank you all for tuning in. And we should be back in 2 weeks. If you want us to play with your first page's synopsis or query, just directly message either of us and contribute to the cause. Message me, DM
Tell
me.
that one. Yes, I don't want to see her anything. No, tell
Now-
her, please.
Now that I am mostly over COVID, I will be online a little more than I
Now
have.
that you're back to human form.
So, okay. Thank you all,
Have fun.
and have a great week
And a good night.
and a